Have you ever found yourself tangled in a complex JavaScript object, trying to remove a property but feeling completely lost? If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into how to deep remove an object property using another object as a selector. I totally get it. Working with nested objects in JavaScript can be tricky, especially when you want to delete a property without using the dot notation. You're not alone in this struggle. Many developers face similar challenges. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked how to remove a property from a deeply nested object using another object as a selector. They provided an example object and a selector object, and they want to know how to achieve this without using the dot notation. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what's the challenge here? The user wants to delete a property from a nested object without using the dot notation. This requires a more dynamic approach, where we can traverse the object based on the structure of the selector object. Let's break it down step by step. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a handy tip that will make working with JavaScript objects even easier. To begin, the user needs to create a function that will handle the deletion of properties from the main object based on the selector object. This function will iterate through the keys of the selector object. Next, the user should check if the current key in the selector exists in the target object. If it does, they will need to determine if the value is an object itself. If it is, the function should call itself recursively. Now, if the value in the selector is an empty string, the user should delete the corresponding property from the target object. This is how the actual deletion occurs. Finally, the user can call this function with their selector and the main object to perform the deletion. This will modify the original object as required. Fun fact, did you know that JavaScript was created in just 10 days? It's amazing how far it has come since then and how complex our code can get. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach to removing properties from an object using a selector is to create a function called delete keys. This function iterates over the keys of the selector object. If a key does not exist in the target object, it simply returns. If the property is an object, it calls delete keys recursively. Otherwise, it deletes the key from the target object. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative solution involves using a library called object_scan for this task. The user suggests scanning the selector object to extract paths and then using those paths to delete the corresponding properties in the target object. This method also works for arrays with minor modifications. The user provides a code snippet demonstrating how to implement this solution, which counts the number of deletions and shows the modified object. That wraps up that answer. Let's move on to another one. This alternative solution uses functional programming techniques, specifically the map and reduce functions. The approach involves recursively traversing both the deletion object and the target object to remove keys marked with an empty string. The function returns a new object without modifying the original, ensuring no side effects occur. This makes it a pure function, which is a key benefit of this approach. Now let's see this function in action. When we call deep delete with our example objects, we should see the property removed as expected. This is a powerful way to manage nested objects dynamically. And there you have it. You can now remove properties from deeply nested objects using another object as a selector. Remember, mastering these techniques can save you a lot of time and frustration in your coding journey. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tricks.